down. But the offense said, "Hey, step aside. We'll take care of this. We'll give you guys a big lead. We'll allow those relievers to throw strikes and pump the strike zone." And the Marlins aren't a great offensive team, and this is the result of that. Jack Dreyer ended up getting the start, which is kind of what we expected, just because he hadn't pitched the last 2 days. And, he gave the Dodgers – he did give up a run, aided by Teoscar Hernandez, still struggling out there in right field, turning a single into a triple. But ultimately, it didn't really matter because the Marlins only scored one more run the rest of the game. And in between that, the Dodgers scored they didn't score 15. They scored, 11 in between that? And then 4 more after that. So, it was exactly what the Dodgers needed. It was exactly what they needed to kind of settle themselves back. That 16-0 loss to the Cubs, really mess with run differential. But getting 12 runs back in this game will definitely help that run differential and kind of settle things down a little bit. The Giants lost, so the Dodgers are now in sole possession of first place in the NL West. If you're worried about that, they're 1 game behind the best record in all of baseball, with the Mets being 1 game ahead there. And, it's starting to look better. When we talked about the Rockies series, and even though it was a sweep, it wasn't necessarily like the prettiest sweep. It was one of those where they kind of got it done. And that's basically how Monday felt in this series, because they were up 5-0 and then they were tied 5-5 and then they had to go to extra innings. And, it was a win, but not a pretty win. And this one was pretty enough for the both of them. It was one of those games where, you get to smile a lot. We got to see Kike Hernandez pitch the 9th inning. We got to see him debut. I don't know. I guess that's something that pitchers can use. It was a helmet with the top cut off, so basically like a helmet visor, and he was wearing it out there. He forgot to cover first base on the ground ball to first base with first baseman Austin Barnes, which was another little quirk of this game. But ultimately, it was a game where I think if you listen to the Sportsnet LA broadcast, you realize, this game was fun because there was a lot of giggles and laughing going on between Steven Nelson and Eric Karros and Dave Vassay. So, it's the Dodgers have an early game on Wednesday. This could all get flushed away with an annoying loss on a Wednesday. But for now, this is exactly what they needed. They set themselves up. They got pretty much a full rested bullpen going after Gonsolin tomorrow. They have the day off on Thursday. And then, you have Yamamoto and Roki on Friday and Saturday, who have been giving some length, at least Roki the last few times out, Yamamoto the whole entire season. So you set yourself back up. And that's the biggest part of this, is just getting yourself ready for the next game. And if the Dodgers were in a close game, would have had to use, multiple arms, and you're really counting on Tony Gonsolin in his first start in a long time, to give you a little bit of length. You might have had to push him a little bit, if he was struggling to kind of wear it. But now you don't have to worry about that. If Gonsolin gives you 5 innings, that's great. If he only gives you 4 innings, that's okay. And if he gives you anything less than that, not ideal, but they have enough arm coverage to get through the rest of the game. And hopefully the offense can continue to stay hot. We're going to talk about Andy Pages in the last segment, but, I do want to give some love to Teoscar Hernandez, who is now the MLB RBI leader after 4 RBIs tonight. He didn't get the home run to keep his home run streak going, but, he's been on fire the last week. He's been good the entire season, but the last week he's hitting over 400, 4 homers, 14 RBIs in the last 7 games. That's production in the middle of the order that the Dodgers need, especially, in the – I guess Ohtani's been hitting now for almost 7 games, but, putting the run – when he comes up with runners on, you have a good feeling about it, and he's been getting it done there. And, only 4 strikeouts in those last 7 games. So that's a big part of that. When you're putting the ball in play and hitting it as hard as Teo does, that's a good sign. So all in all, it was a fun night at the Ravine. And we're going to show some love to Matt Sauer in the next segment, because he gave the Dodgers, an MVP of the game type performance, and more than they could really ask for in a situation where they were probably a little bit concerned. So We're going to get into Matt Sauer and the rest of the guys that pitched. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, Dodger tickets, entertainment, more, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And if you're managing money with the partner, it's smoother than ever with Monarch Money because you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, probably last listen of the day if you're listening live right now on YouTube, seeing as it is 10:24 p.m. We appreciate those of you here with us right now. We appreciate those of you that listen after the fact we go live. Remember, you can go beyond the podcast, come Locked On Dodgers Insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers, get text directly from us, and get invited to our Discord server. And yeah, let's talk about Matt Sauer because